All right, good to know you're still there and it's still Business Rendezvous on independent television, broadcasting live from Benin City, South Nigeria, the heartbeat of the nation, with your host, Lauren Tosifo. Now, this morning, I have a guest with me in the studio. He's an economist, an expert in economy. He's Dr. Osaze Iyoha. With me this morning, we'll be talking about the recent increase of interest rate from 18.5% to 18.75% by the Apex Bank, that is the Central Bank of Nigeria. Recently, they had a monetary policy committee meeting, the MPC meeting, that was chaired by the acting governor of the CBN, Folashodun Shonobi. So during the meeting, they raised the interest rate from 18.5% to 18.75%. So we're going to be looking at the impact of this increment in interest rate to businesses in Nigeria, because we can see that some businesses actually, people are going out of business. Some that I even hear, they are running out. Just late last week, one of the big manufacturing company that manufactures drugs, they are into pharmaceutical manufacturing, GlaxoSmithKline, they are planning to exit. So we want to really know what are the potentials that this interest rate increment is going to cause. Dr. Osaze, good morning and welcome.
Good morning, Chief.
Good to have you.
Same here.
Welcome.
Yeah, good morning, viewers.
All right. So, as an economist that you are, let's really talk, because the viewer need to know, when you increase your interest rate, it actually means people will be scared to go and borrow.
Yeah.
So if they don't borrow, how would they fund their businesses? Because majority of some of these business, you and I know, they are funded with borrowing. They go to the banks, either the commercial banks or the microfinance banks to borrow. Now, this interest rate, what kind of effect do you think it will have on businesses and the economy at large?
Yeah, it's, you know, since May 2022, CBN has continuously been raising interest rates. I think this is the 8th consecutive rise now. Yeah. And you know, you can. I think they are between the devil and the deep blue sea. They are between a hard place and the rock. You know, just that I think they are just following normal economic theory. You know, it's just theoretical, because they've been increasing rates since May 2022, as I said. As at the time when the first increase was done in May, inflation rate was just about 14–15%. You know, it's 20. So it means that you've been increasing interest rates and inflation has been flying. Yeah. So it has not served the purpose. And you know, the whole idea of raising interest rates is a Keynesian theory idea in economics. The Keynesians believe that when there's inflation, it means that there's too much money chasing few goods. That's the basic definition. But you know, you have different types of inflation. But the demand pull inflation, which is what this theory of rising interest rates is meant to curb. The idea that the Keynesians had was that the goods available to meet the demand of the consumers is less than demand. So for example, I in 3,000, I'm able to buy 33 loaves of bread. Then you in 3,000, you're able to buy it, but the loaves of bread available is just 100. So it means those suppliers will do what we call shaka, because you now have more demand chasing few goods, so they will now increase their prices. So their own idea was, okay, increase interest rates so that it affects treasury bills and so on, so that consumers, citizens are encouraged to take their money to buy treasury bills. So it mops up money from circulation. So because you, the consumer, you hear that treasury bills is 10%, for example, you are not encouraged because it's riskless. You're encouraged to go and put your money there. So the idea was that it mops up demand. So since it has taken money from me, I'm not able to buy as much as I would have normally been able to buy. I will not buy the 3 loaves of bread that I should have normally bought. So demand now comes to meet supply. It comes to idea. So that was the idea behind. But that's for a demand pull inflation. You understand? So when you have a situation where the issue is not demand pull, it's not that there's so much money chasing few goods. So that's why CBN can increase interest rate for till God knows when, and you still will not have this impact. So this increase in interest rate is just a monetary solution. So it would address the monetary issues. But you know, Nigeria's inflation is not just monetary. It's more, if you want to put it on a scale of 100, it's more of 70% fiscal issues, structural issues than monetary. So monetary, the demand pull, this increase in interest, it will just solve as much as it can, probably just 10%. But the issues, you know, goes beyond, is cost push inflation. Supply side generally. The issue is not that people have so much money chasing few goods. It's that the producers of these goods, the bread, the noodles, let's not call name, and so on, those consumer goods, the thing is that they are not able to produce so much. And it's not because they don't want to make profit, but because of supply side issues. Forex has been a problem. You know how much the cost of Forex is now. Issues like logistics, structural issues, which is what is affecting CPI. You know, CPI accounts for the highest share of inflation. It's about 60%. That's the food inflation. And you know it's structural issues, security. People have left their farms. Now, you have farmers. I know of farmers. When I say farmers, I don't mean big-time farmers. Small, average farmers who use bike to go to the farm, who they have kidnapped and they're asking for 5 million current. So tell me how that farmer wants to go to the farming. You have places in the north where they pay as much as 250 million naira to bribe, to pay as settlement for all these what do you call them? These headers, these bandits, so that they allow them go to their farms. You know, in those days, we were young then when people go to the farm on Saturdays. I had neighbors, they go to the farm on Saturdays and they come back the following Saturday.
Sleep over.
They were spending weeks. They were spending a full week
in the farm.
Then they come on Saturday, go to church on Sunday. By Monday, they go. But now, you can't do that again. There are some communities where they say vigilante escorts them to the farm. Then by 2 o'clock, they blow whistle that they should come. So if they blow that whistle and you don't come here on your own, whatever. So, you know, those are the issues, structural issues, security problem, Forex, customs duties, you know. They have been increasing customs duties and then the wait time in customs. So that's why no matter how you increase interest, though CBN has said that if not the increase in interest rate, maybe inflation would have been higher. Though that's up for debate. I don't know how. But as I said, the increase in interest rates will just only do the little it can because that's a monetary solution. The major issues are fiscal, supply side issues, structural issues. So as you asked, 18.75 now, it's going to affect businesses. Even the Keynesians said it. In trying to address inflation, you will be hurting growth. Because this is what it does. It affects output growth. Because as you said, businessmen are not able to borrow. Inflation, interest rate now in the banks is about 30%, 35%. That MPR, it's a benchmark from which every other business and banking sector takes its own interest. It's a benchmark. So that's why. But the good thing they did this time, which I commend, is that they reduced the asymmetric corridor from plus 100. Before it was plus 100 minus 700, so now plus 100 minus 300. So it means that 18.75 is the MPR. When banks now want to borrow from CBN, that's the rate at 3 days. So they take plus 100, means they will now pay 19.75. That will be the interest rate that banks would borrow from CBN. That's the plus 100. Minus 300 means government, when the banks want to put their money with CBN, excess liquidity. You know, there's a certain amount which you cannot keep in your vault as a bank. So when you're taking it to CBN, you will get minus 300. That's 18.75 minus 300 basis points. That will be 15.75. Okay. So that also means that the banks now have a higher interest rate. Before it was minus 700. Yeah. So that means it would have been 18.75 minus 7. Okay. It would have been 11.7. So the banks are now getting 15.7. So that means there's an incentive for banks to send money to CBN. Their excess liquidity. So they will get 15.75 interest. CBN will pay them. And it also means that you, depositors like me and you, who have bank accounts, normally fixed depositors, so we should expect increased interest rates.
Exactly.
Since banks are now getting 15.75. So it's all intertwined. The idea is let them mop up money from circulation. Banks are now encouraged. You get 15.75 free money. So they want to put money there with CBN and so on. But on the long run, I think it will affect growth. Exactly. And you know that's why the new president, when he came, was very particular about interest rates. Nigeria has one of the highest interest rates for manufacturers. And manufacturers are encumbered with so many issues. Electricity, we didn't even talk about that.
Is another issue.
Structural issue.
I will call you in for us to see this.
So those are the things that are driving. So the manufacturer are encumbered with all that. Electricity, fuel. Look at ShopRite when they left beginning of last year. Their major problem was light. They said they are spending so much. Their contribution to the group accounts in South Africa was falling. So that's why they had to exit Nigeria, because they were spending so much on diesel and so on. So it means that they're encumbered with all this. Then you now say they should pay 30-35%, because that's what the normal banks, commercial banks will charge. So it means that it will affect SMSEs and so on. Yeah. So those of us who need to go and borrow money, you can't, by the time you borrow money at 35%, what's the remaining interest?
Exactly.
You now have to buy diesel, you have to run your generator.
You are running at loss.
So generally, that's theory of demand pull inflation, where the Keynesians said increase interest rates whenever there's inflation. It would, at best, just be you are tackling inflation, but you are hurting growth.
Yeah.
And you know, Nigeria's growth has been lame duck. It has been, I think the highest it has been 2.75 and so on. So you are hurting growth seriously. And the inflation, you are not also tackling it. So CBN is just following economic theory. I really don't see the rationale behind increasing MPR. It's just, as I said, they are just following the books theory. And I don't know how long they'll be able to go with it, really.
Wow. Yeah. So quickly, as an economist that you are, not just an economics, a doctor in economics, just give the government or CBN a tip of advice. What are they supposed to do at this point in time? Because businesses are falling down. Those that are into businesses, like you said, some are running away. Yeah, right. So when you are increasing interest rates in a country where the power supply is not stable, no good road, electricity, security is a problem, everything seems to be a problem. So what should be your own personal advice to the government at this point? What should they do in order to help the small businesses to thrive? Yeah,
it just has to be policy mix. Okay. And you know, that's where Mundez came in economic theory, in economics, where he said there has to be policy mix between fiscal and monetary. You can't be fighting it isolatedly. Okay. CBN is increasing interest rates. That's their own way of tackling inflation. But the fiscal, what is the fiscal side doing? That's government. Yeah. The federal government, what are they doing on their side? So there has to be a roundtable, and that's what we experienced in the last 8 years of the last administration. Everybody was pushing his own boat. So, you know, there has to be synchronization. I think they should have more synchronized meetings between the fiscal, because the much monetary policy can do is the best they have done. There's really nothing. CBN cannot cannot fund the army to go and fight the bandits. Yeah. They can't do anything about electricity. They can't do anything about customs. They can't do anything. So those are the issues, the supply side issues, and those are fiscal issues. So I think government, there has to be policy mix. There's really I really can't see the advice I can give CBN, except that they have to stop. They've done enough of interest rates. So they have to stop it. They have to stop it. They have to stop it. And you know, especially now when you now have this interest rate, exchange rate unification is biting. Yeah. It's biting. Yeah. They are producers. To assess forex now is really something extremely high. 890, 900. Yeah. So it's biting. That's enough hardship. Then rates have been increased now, customs. So I think CBN has to halt the increase in interest rates. And fiscal policy has to wake up. Everything lies on the fiscal side. Wow. Just probably 10% is monetary. All right, thank you very much. That's Dr. Iyoha Osaze, an economist, a doctor in economics, throwing more light about the CBN increase in interest rate from 18.5% to 18.75%. I believe we'll have more time. I will still call you into the program because what you just said is more like encompasses a whole lot. We'll still have time to talk about more with time. So I'll be leaving you here. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So we'll go on a short break for the news update at 9:30. After the news, the program Business Rendezvous continues. Please stay with us.